Okay, with it being 2 o'clock, I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order of the Florence City Design Review Board. Our minutes were sent to us by mail and by email. Did everyone get a chance to review it? Are there any changes or amendments that need to be addressed? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. So minutes carried. Our first public hearing today is case DRB 2022-25. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness to extend the existing fence around the Montessori School of Florence building at 506 West Palmetto Street. Tax map number 90087-03-002 and 521 West Pine Street. Tax map number 90074-09-010, located in the D4 Timrod Park Overlay District. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself for this one.
Okay, Mike is recused.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So the Montessori Campus has expanded it out to include 506 West Palmetto Street and 521 West Pine Street. The Pine Street is in the Timrod Park Overlay District, and then the 506 is in the Redevelopment Overlay District. It is zoned campus at 506 and then NC 6.3 at the 521 West Pine Street. So here's the proposed fencing. It will be wrought iron fence with brick piers. And this is actually a photo of something that's already on site. They're just trying to mimic what they already have at other locations on the campus. And they are also proposing these double gates. They'll have two at 506 and they'll have one at 521 West Pine Street. So at 506 West Palmetto Street, the arrows are just kind of showing at the top. That's where it's tying into existing fencing. And it runs all along the West Palmetto Street facade as well as Worley Street. And then two arrows there denote where they want to put in the double gate access entry. So that's approximately 500 linear feet of fencing. And then here is 521 West Pine Street. This was actually a DRB back in February. This is now the home of, they'll have classrooms for 4th through 6th grade students and also additional administrative offices and staff. So the fencing starts at the arrow to the top and to the right and then runs along Pine Street, and then also runs along Graham, and then it will have one double gate entrance just as the one on 506 West Palmetto Street did. Now here's just some site photos around. Here's the existing fencing along West Palmetto Street. There's 506 West Palmetto Street, which there's still an existing building there. I think it was might have been a pharmacy in its previous life, but it is now owned by Montessori School, and they would like to encompass it into their campus overall. And here's just some pictures. Worley Street, and then here is the main driveway to Montessori School of Florence. Here's the West Pine Street. Again, this was before the board back in February to do some landscape changes and also to add a driveway to facilitate the new use. So the design guidelines, the recommended fencing and screening materials, it talks about brick, it does talk about metal pickets and masonry piers. So this does align with the design guidelines and the Unified Development Ordinance. So that does conclude staff's report.
Anyone have any questions of staff? Anyone here to speak on this matter? Please step up to the podium and state your name, please.
Sure. My name is Elizabeth Kahn. I'm the director of the Montessori School of Florence. I feel like we're getting to know each other well. We've been here a couple times. But, you know, we are in the process of growing and expanding. So that's caused us to come to ask y'all for some help here and there. It did used to be a pharmacy building. We're going to be calling it to ourselves the Maverick Center. Will house 2 additional classrooms and a gymnasium space on the interior. We were asking for this fencing primarily for the purposes of security. We need to make sure that our campus is secure, both to protect our children from the inside and to keep folks from coming in from the outside. So we need to protect our children in that way. And then in addition, it just makes it look consistent with the fencing that we already have and with our current campus. One thing is, as I was looking at the photos that you put up there, I'm not sure if we have all of the correct parcels highlighted.
Oh, okay.
I feel like the CA is our current, so that's already fenced in. Up there on the
Gotcha.
corner.
Yeah, you're right. The 506 on the corner is actually.
Yeah, that's where we're actually asking to do the fencing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just didn't want it to be confusing.
Confusing. Yeah. Thank you for.
So, right, just the same fence that we already have that I think looks really nice and is pretty pricey, so it should be good quality. Anyway, we want it to look consistent and primarily just protect and be there for the safety of our children. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for her?
Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks.
I don't think there's any. I think we'll go ahead and close the hearing and open it up for a discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Okay. Got a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? I think it's going to be very attractive, so congratulations. No, it's not cheap. There's nothing cheap now. Our next case for public hearing is case DRB 2022-26. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish the building located at 124 North Dargan Street, tax map number 90169-01-032, located in the H1 Historic Overlay District. Staff?
All right, thank you, sir. So the applicant is requesting to demolish this building at 124 North Dargan Street in the Historic Overlay District. And it is in the downtown Central Business District for zoning. So as of now, the Historical Commission is reviewing the historicity of the building to see if they are going to give permission to do demolition. They asked for an additional 60 days to review the building to make sure that demolition was something that they wanted to sign off on. The building was originally built in 1920, but the facade materials are not original and have been altered. Sometime between 2012 and 2016, the entire front facade was lost due to structural failure, and it was considered a life safety issue at the time. So that the dangerous portions of the building, which were pretty much all that was left of the original, were removed, and then a new facade was placed on it, a temporary facade. The applicants have been to the design review board a number of times. Most recently, June 9th, 2021, they did ask for permission to add an additional 2 levels onto the building, which DRB did grant permission. It never came to fruition, so now they are going to come back with a clean slate, and they would like to just demo it with no future plans at this time. So here's a historic photo. With the arrow, you can see 124 North Dargan Street and the background in the 40s or 50s. I'm not sure. I was trying to look at the cars and determine, but probably the 50s. So, and then the site photos are what we are looking at now. They've had numerous codes violations for maintenance and appearance codes in the past, and have actually been to livability court for this issue. So they would just like to go ahead and start over. It is for a complete demolition of the building with no future plans at this time. Once the building is demolished, they will have to somehow stabilize the soil with probably with some sort of landscaping. But that does conclude staff's report.
Does anyone have any questions of staff?
So, if we say it's okay to tear it down, that the historic, they can't do anything until the historical. So
Exactly.
we would just say yes, we can. If we say that, and then and then the historical commission can say no. we
Right.
can't tear it down.
Both parties would have to sign off, DRB and the historical commission, before the
Whoever makes a motion needs to make that contingent upon that, and I'd address that.
And the historical commission, basically what they do is they say it has historical significance, and it gives them 60 days to work with the property owner to, one, figure out if there are truly any historical aspects of the building worth saving, and two, to, if there are, to preserve the building in some way. But once the 60 days is up from that point of that motion, then that's where their authority ends.
Okay, all right.
So
is there precedence for us to say yes or no?
Right. It is a precedent for you to say yes or no, but even if you say yes, it could be torn down, then we still have to wait those 60 days out.
Okay. Any other questions of staff?
I do have another question just regarding the demo, and obviously it's not necessarily directly related to the design review board, but I would imagine they would have to obtain all of the necessary, studies of the building as far as asbestos and so forth before they are granted, demoing it.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. They would have to obtain a building permit, and as part of that, they would have to obtain any DHEC permits, do any asbestos abatement, and things of that nature. Absolutely, yes.
And one last question, if we do grant permission for the demo and the historical commission also grants permission, have we kind of sort of looked at how the adjacent building would actually look once their building, and I don't know what that's 126 maybe, North Oregon?
That's right.
How that side would look?
Yeah, we would likely have to take a closer look at that, but I know part of her building's covered in stucco. I'm not sure what's below that. But.
Yes.
We'd like to say it would undergo exploratory work.
Okay.
But yes, we'll take a look at it. Absolutely. I'll make a note of that.
Any other questions of staff? Anyone here to speak in this matter? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or a motion.
I do a lot of work with a lot of buildings downtown, and when you get a lot of these buildings from the 20s that haven't been taken care of, there's no easy financial way to take it and fix it and fix it back. You pretty much got to take it down and start over. It's easier to demo and start over from scratch. And in the end, you have a much better product than an old building you try to save, to patch up, to make new again. I've seen that happen enough to know it's a problem on a lot of projects. It's way easier. I think the job that I'm doing with Carlos Velasquez on 175 North Oregon is a very similar project in the sense that you could try to save some little aspect, but really all you've got is just two walls, one on each side, maybe a little bit in the front and back, and that's it. And there's old brick that's not in great shape. So trying to save it, sometimes these things are too far gone. I looked at this building today because I was downtown earlier and looked at it, and there's a lot of stuff, and I haven't gone through it in detail, but just looking at it based on my experience with other buildings, it's not in good shape. So you'd have to have a pretty big carrot to figure out how to make it stay. I don't think that's reasonable.
And I'll add one other point too, is that this building originally was part of the buildings that counted towards the historic district. It was a contributing building to the downtown, but it was based on the original facade of the building. Somewhere it was around 2014, 15. You guys may remember too, but the whole facade of that building fell off. We were lucky no one got hurt or injured, that was in the vicinity. And after that, we had to actually have the owner to put up, or I think the city, we actually put up a little tunnel to protect folks from falling debris at that time. So the building itself has posed some life safety issues for pedestrians. We had to have them secure that building, the roof structure and the walls of that building at some point. But the further it deteriorates, that comes into question again, which is I think what's prompting this response, or this proposal for demolition, because The historical aspects of the building have been lost due to deterioration, and it's becoming a nuisance to other properties in the vicinity and to visitors of downtown. So.
Thanks, Jerry.
I guess my question is, if something becomes so neglected, it's not what it was. You know, it's not what it was a long time ago.
And that's probably what the historical council is going to find out and rule on it as well. Does anyone have any motions?
Motion to approve.
I second that.
And a second. And any contingency on that motion with the?
Contingent upon historical review. We can make it that way, sure.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries. Certificate will be issued. Our third case today would be case DRB 2022-27, a request for a certificate of appropriateness for a blade sign on the commercial building located at 178 West Evans Street, tax map number 90168-02-026, located in the H1 Historic Overlay District. Staff?
Good afternoon. This building is the site of the, it's formerly known as the Mosaic Ladies Boutique, and it's been taken over by, it's now Agathula's Boutique. A little more of a mouthful. And it is zoned Central Business District, and basically the new owner just wants to, or new tenant, just wants to replace the Mosaic sign with her own sign. And the Mosaic sign was flat, one-dimensional, and y'all approved it several years ago. This sign that she's doing is also non-dimensional. It's also flat, and it'll just be attached to the existing framework, so there'll be nothing new attached to the building. So it's basically just changing out one sign for another. So that concludes staff's report.
And there's nothing lit or anything on the sign, it's just the sign. Okay. Anyone have any questions of staff besides me? Okay, anybody here to speak on this matter? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or a motion.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries and certificate will be issued. Our fourth case today is case DRB 2022-28. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a building at 541 South Church Street, tax map number 90104-01-004, located in the D1 Redevelopment Overlay District. Staff?
All right. The applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to demolish the current Whosoever Church building and construct a new building in the future. They hope to be approximately 5,000 square feet. It will be a heating cooling shelter for the homeless, and it will also house the new home of Whosoever Church. So today they are requesting permission to demolish the existing Whosoever Church and then get permission to place the future building where they would like it to be, sort of a variance from the setbacks in the campus district. So here is 541 South Church Street, currently the location of Whosoever Church, and to the north is House of Hope, the House of Hope campus. And this is in the D1 Redevelopment Overlay District. And so here's a proposed site plan. So the campus zoning district setbacks are 50 feet in the front, 15 feet on the side, and 40 in the rear. So they have actually drawn on there that dashed line where the setbacks would place the building. So the building is going to encroach into the Unified Development Ordinance setbacks for the campus district. So they're proposing 30 feet in the front, on both fronts, the front on Cohen Street and also Church Street, and then in the rear they are wanting 11 feet 4 inches thereabout when the rear setback is 40 feet. So this is for the building, and then they also have the proposed parking lot. And then they actually do have the little rectangle showing where the current Whosoever Church is. And this is just a proposed building layout. You have the church, and then you also have facilities to house the homeless as need be. Here's some current site photos of the Whosoever Church fronting Church Street. This is currently being reviewed by the Historical Commission to see if they are going to sign off for the demo. And then the House of Hope, Courtney McGinnis Graham Community Shelter, just to the north. So again, these are the setbacks. Right now, we don't have any building details, exterior materials. What they are asking for today is permission to do the demo and then placement of the future building where it is shown on the proposed site plan. And then in the design review board does have the power to permit construction in historic districts. So that would give the design review board power, the ability to give permission for them to place the building where they would like to place it. And that does conclude staff's report.
Anyone have any questions of staff? Anyone else? Anyone here to speak on this matter? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or a motion.
I would just like to add that they may be in the summary plat process where they're just going to combine all the parcels into one so that the approval of design review board for the placement of the building may not be necessary. But so far, they have not submitted anything.
I'll make a motion to approve it, contingent on the historical societies.
And Joey's got a motion.
I'll second that.
James got a second. All in favor? Motion carries and certificate will be issued. Our fifth and final case today is case DRB 2022-29. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness for a wall sign on the commercial building located at 177 South Coit Street, tax map number 90074-05-008, located in the D2 Downtown Overlay District. Staff?
Good afternoon. This is one of the tenant spaces in the little commercial building at the corner of Chevis and South Coit Street. And the new tenant is putting in a boutique and salon and is just looking for some wall signage to identify her space. And it'll be a 6 1/4 square foot flat sign as well, will be just placed next to the door, just like all the other signs are for the other tenant spaces along here. And again, it had to come before you. It won't be lit, either interior or exterior lighting, but it will be a flat sign. And it will be, I believe it's a metal sign as well. So that concludes staff's report.
Anyone have any questions of staff? None. Anyone here to speak on the matter? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Jay has a motion. Mike has a motion.
Second.
David has a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. So we'll issue the certificate of appropriateness. I want to thank everybody for their time today, and we are adjourned, and our next meeting is scheduled for August 10th at 2 o'clock. Thanks, everyone.